Well, folks, in today's video, we visit the Maine Central Model Railroad Museum located in Kennebunkport. This is a fairly modern museum which opened in 2024, and as of recently, they've opened this upstairs area where you can view what is billed as the largest HO-scale layout in the entire state of Maine. The layout itself is nearly 900 square feet and has 3,000 feet of track stretching across 25 Maine-based towns that the Maine Central Railroad operates through. The upstairs area also features a variety of different trolley-themed dioramas which depict different parts of Maine in different eras, a lot of which are local, like the Saco and Biddeford scene, and another one nearby which mimics Old Orchard Beach. And construction on this layout began in 1989 at the family home of the Beals in Jonesport, Maine. Over the 31 years the couple had the layout, they built almost everything you see from scratch, minus some kits, so all the buildings, trees, and track were pretty much all built in-house. And although this layout was not specifically open to the public, they did have many visitors over that 31-year time frame, until 2020 when they decided to offer up the entire layout to the Seashore Trolly Museum, who at the time unfortunately did not have enough space to host something of this size. However, due to a $3.4 million donation, they were actually able to build an exclusive facility to host this setup, as well as move it from Jonesport to Kennebunkport. And ever since then, volunteers have been hard at work getting the whole layout operational again, in my opinion, to a great degree of success. They're currently working on adding Ellsworth, Maine to the layout, and soon to follow is Saco, Maine, Arundel, Kennebunk, and Kennebunkport, as well as adding an entire working model of the Seashore Trolly Museum, which this building shares its campus with. And I think getting some trolleys going on here would be a great idea because Seashore in its own right is quite impressive. It's actually known as the world's first and largest trolley museum. I think even just calling it a trolley museum is a bit of an understatement because they have a lot more than just trolleys, which is why you see these subway cars and that electric locomotive out front. The trolleys they have themselves are quite nice. They really go to a lot of effort to restore and maintain these cars to their former glory, and some of them, like this one, are actually operational and they take you on a 5-mile journey up to a trolley park, and along the way they tell you some of the history of the specific car you're on, or the history of the museum, or the history on rail transportation in general, and they really go to a lot of effort to try to make it entertaining. It's a very wholesome operation around here. Once the trolley takes you back to the main part of the campus, you have a choice of 4 different barns you can visit. Most of the barns contain more trolley-related stuff, however they do have some other types of railway-related artifacts. For example, they have some different subway trains, they have this experimental train from the 1970s, some different light rail vehicles, and they even have some off-rail vehicles like a whole collection of different vintage buses which are electric, diesel, and even a few trucks mixed in there. I think that one of my favorite parts of this museum, however, has to be the machining, restoration, and maintenance shops. As the name suggests, this is where they rebuild and maintain all of the cars that they run at this museum. And I should note that everybody fixing this stuff up and actually running it are all a bunch of volunteers. There's no paid staff for the actual operations of this museum. So the people that you see running all this stuff right now are truly doing so out of a passion for rail, which is really just wonderful to see. The museum is also getting all kinds of donations, like this Providence and Worcester locomotive, which they got from the railroad in 2020. So there's a lot of different stuff going on right here. They also have a viewing gallery for the 1969 restoration shop, and you can see there are some projects underway here, as well as a few in the back, which I think are probably just due for maintenance. The process of restoring a trolley is certainly not a fast one. They've said that in some cases it's taken up to 30 years to fully restore one, but the finished product really is a wonderful thing, and they have a lot of equipment around here to do so. They have all sorts of different machining equipment, lathing equipment, and they've even got a paint booth where they're actually in the process of painting a trolley, as you can see. Some of the previously worked on cars that were fixed up in this shop are now on display throughout different barns of the museum. Here's one from Toronto, Canada, which they did a great job at fixing up, and it's even got authentic Canadian ads on the side. And they've got cars from all around the world here. This is one they imported from Australia in 1961, and this car is still operable all these years later. And they've got many others from different cities from throughout the United States, which are from different eras. A lot of these are in great shape, and it's just interesting to see how the technology evolved over the years and how things worked in other countries. One car which I've always found quite fascinating is this one from Scotland. It's actually a double-decker, and you can see there's not a crazy amount of space in here. I can't even imagine what it must have been like to ride in this thing fully packed with people. But it is interesting to see how different countries made rail transit work based on how much room they had and the type of climate these cars had to operate in. Anyway, that about wraps up my tour of both the Trolley Museum and the Model Railway Museum. The Model Railroad Museum actually does have a small retail store, but I didn't end up buying anything this time around. However, there is a giveaway I've been meaning to do for a while now, so let's do that draw. So here are all the items which were promised at the end of the Prescott Train Show video. If you commented on that video and finished it off with either HO scale or N scale, you've got an opportunity to win one of these two lots right here. And this is some pretty nice stuff, honestly. This HO engine is absolutely solid. I tested it all out if you saw that video. And I personally had one of these engines for like 15 years, and it has just been absolutely stellar in terms of performance. And the N scale stuff is pretty nice too. It's all got knuckle couplers, so on and so forth. Anyway, let's find a winner here. I'm not exactly sure how many entries there were specifically, but I'm guessing it's quite a high number. There seemed to be a lot of interest in both these lots. I think probably because there's two different scales right here. And yeah, we're over 500, 600, 700, 800 comments. 848 comments. That's pretty wild. Let's see who the winner is. And Rowthorn PB, that was a 56 Plymouth Suburban CN livery. That thing is beautiful. Yes, it's owned by the Bytown Railway Society. Thanks for the vid, and the Adore caboose does get me giddy. N scale, please. I don't know if the draw happened. Well, you're just in luck. It seems like you have, in fact, won the N scale lot, so congratulations. Anyway, now it's time to see who wins the HO locomotive. Hopefully the next comment is HO, because if it's another N scale person, I'm going to have to redraw, since this is all accounted for. But let's pick another winner here. And we've got JJ Sheffer. The switcher looks sweet. I'd love to win at HO scale. Well, congratulations. It looks like it goes to you. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the tour of the Trolley Museum as well as the Model Railroad Museum. And thanks to everybody out there who entered the giveaway. There will be more in the future. But until then, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. I feel like people on this must have been burning their heads on the light bulbs pretty often getting up.